Hey, this is Ben Solomon, and welcome to this episode of the Techno Leadership Show. In this episode, I'm going to cover how to write an effective cover letter for a senior technology role. Now, the principles of cover letter writing are pretty much the same. The principles really don't change, but the way we approach cover letter writing for different roles, different levels of roles, is a tiny bit different. So, with senior technology roles, you've already got experience in those areas. You've got a lot of stories from your experience in junior roles and mid-level roles that you can bring into this to really highlight those points that you need to touch to differentiate you from most other applicants. Very few applicants are gonna really put in the time to write a cover letter that touches on all the points that are asked for in a job application and cover it with stories that actually illustrate and strengthen their case as being the right candidate for that role. So to set you apart, one is understanding, obviously you've already done your strengths, weaknesses and all of that, so you have that as a foundational aspect of your cover letters. But when you look at the kind of roles you can apply for, there are specific things that similar roles ask for. So if you're applying for a infrastructure engineer role, they might ask for VMware, they might ask for Hyper-V, they might ask for Citrix, they might ask you for experience having worked with Dell infrastructure, HP infrastructure, whatever that might be. And as much as you and I understand that Dell infrastructure as such is not significantly different to HP's infrastructure and all the others, Lenovo, etc., they've in the job description asked for specific things. So what you do is you utilize your current experience. Like let's say in the last 5 years of your tech career or more, you've worked in environments that only used Dell devices. So it might be Dell servers, Dell networking, Dell firewall, all that sort of thing. So what do you do? And you're applying for a role where they would prefer for you to have had experience with HP, just as an illustrative point. So you just bring in stories of how you went about working with vendor, working with their partner, whatever it might be with Dell, and how you would do the same in the environment that is HP. The principal aspect of the thing, that how you would approach a situation, doesn't change. It's just because of vendor differences, or if you're someone who's a developer, just because the language that you've used or the frameworks that you've used change a little bit, doesn't make a full complete difference. Yes, you need to have understanding and the ability to do what the new role needs, but the foundation, the way you think about problem solving, all of that doesn't change. So you've got to focus on where your strengths are, if that's the job that you really want and that's where you want to go into, and you've got the strengths for it, and you've got the education, the understanding and skills for it. Marry all that up to show how you would approach that situation in that new role. So that's the gist of things when you're writing a cover letter, is to one, start at the top, addressing the role, addressing the person who's either listed on there, or if it's not listed, it's usually good to call the HR or someone at the company who deals with the recruitment side of things to find out who would be the main contact, who would be the manager that this role reports to, and things like that, to utilize that as a starting point to connect to. And if you get an opportunity to speak to that manager, fantastic. It means you can find out what their worries are, what peace of mind they get from having this new person in that role, all of those sort of things. You can ask them questions to figure out what their biggest frustration concern is that this role is going to address. And then you can utilize that in your cover letter writing to focus on how you can specifically bring that value, bring that peace of mind to this job position if you're offered the role. Bring in stories of how you've been able to alleviate such fears and frustrations from your senior people in your previous or current role. Bring stories out. How did you manage that? Put in the cover letter, have it there illustrating your experience and your abilities to manage that sort of frustration. So bringing it all together, what I've generally done and generally advised people that I help with do is, after you've found out who is directly responsible for the role, address it to that person. And if you can't find that person, if there's an HR person that's been listed as the contact, obviously get in touch with them as much as possible, but direct it to them saying, you've read the role description for the job advertised, and based on what the role description says and your experience, you're the right candidate for the job. And then you substantiate that with stories of what you've been able to achieve and how that'll add value back to this new company or new position that you're applying for. And then at the end of it, making sure that you highlight the fact that you would like an opportunity to be able to add more to what you've said, and the opportunity to speak to them to be able to add more value into their business and into that position. So if you completely focus on them, what they want, what they benefit from, that is the most important thing. Because at the end of the day, most people say, I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. Fine, but then it takes for them mentally to make that leap of, okay, so if that person can do that, then they benefit us by doing, getting this result. But if you can cut all of that out and make it easy for them to see you as the right person by actually giving them the benefit of why they should employ you and what they would benefit from having you and your expertise and your knowledge and your skills and everything in that role. Make it easy for them. Like most of us technology professionals have this thing of, I can do da da da. So we'll go, oh, I am able to do this, I have these skills, I have. But if you can translate that into language that helps them see the benefit of those skills. I have been able to do that in this circumstance, which means I will be able to bring in this value to your business. For example, if one of the criteria, for example, is dealing with conflict, and you have a story around dealing conflict with a customer, you can always say, I had the situation where a customer came absolutely angry because a certain system had malfunctioned and she'd lost all her work. And what I was able to do is help her, allowed her to vent, step back, looked at the issue, and told her, I empathized with her, and was able to work with her to figure out what had happened. And luckily, 90% of the work was recoverable because there was this area that I could go into and recover the work. And she was so glad that I took the time to come down to her level, understand her on a human level, gave her the opportunity to vent, and then set about finding a way to help her. So you're framing that as someone who has empathy, someone who has the ability to relate with customers, someone who is always looking to solve the problem and not, create conflict, but to de-escalate the conflict. So you're showing all of that with that short story, which would probably take maybe 20, 30, 50 words, whatever it might be. Within that, you've, in the mind of the person reading the cover letter, you've gone, so this person has the capacity to deal with conflict and has already done it demonstrably in their previous role. It cuts through a lot of the fluff. When you can demonstrate with stories what you have already achieved that will be beneficial in the role that you're applying for, a lot of the job's done. The problem I see with a lot of the cover letters that come across my desk when I've been tech manager and tech director is they don't have any of that. They pretty much are a rehash of everything that's in the CV. Just saying, I've done this, I've done that degree, I've done this, and I've got that experience. I'm like, I can see that in the CV. I don't need any of that. Cover letter, tell me why you're unique, why you're suited perfectly for this role. Sell that to me, And that's the thing. And look, when I started out, I didn't have anyone to guide me. I did the same mistakes that I see in these applications, which is why I want to share things that I've learned along the way, things that helped me, things that helped my team members that I've coached, helped them get into other roles, and other people outside of IT even, in their roles and their career progression, being able to talk to them and tell them how to shift what they have written as factual statements into stories that people can connect to and emotionally and internally understand the value that you bring to the role. So your cover letter, and I've said this many times in various episodes over the period of time, and I'll keep saying it. Your cover letter is a marketing piece to show them that you're uniquely placed to be a good candidate for the role. It's pretty much selling the fact that they should give you an interview. And to do that, you need to alleviate their fears, show them the benefit of the experience and skills and everything that you have, the strengths that you have, put it all together in a story format that they can easily digest. Non-technical users can easily digest your characteristics, the way you go about things, and can move you along to the interview phase. Because if it's in a bigger organization, it's usually HR who looks at it. They don't understand any of the technology jargon. They don't understand all the stuff that we talk about on a day-to-day basis, and they don't care. It's not their job. So make it easy for them. Show them how it'll benefit the business from a business standpoint rather than from a technical, I can do this standpoint. Hopefully that's been beneficial to you. Hopefully you can step back, look at your current cover letters and shift that, test them out and see, like shift one of your cover letters for the next role that you're applying for into a story format and address all the key things that they're asking for, utilizing stories from your current experience so far, and let me know how that goes. So I wish you all the best in your career as a tech professional, manager, and leader. If you like this episode, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button, and so that you'll be notified of future episodes as they come up. I wish you all the best. Have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.